Hey everybody, Max Gorden with Fox Business here, and we're talking about California gas prices and a proposal from President Trump to try to bring these gas prices down. Now, it's no secret that gas prices are really high here in the Golden State. Right now, we're at a Chevron station in West Los Angeles where the price of a gallon of regular gasoline is $4.39. You can see it, whoop, there we go, right behind me there. And California has the second highest average gas prices in the country, second only to Hawaii. And obviously Hawaii has its own issues with getting gasoline across the Pacific. Now, according to AAA, the average price of a gallon of regular gas here in California is $4.26, where the national average is only $2.87. One of the reasons why California's gas prices are so high are all the taxes that we have here in the Golden State. California gas taxes, 71 cents for every gallon of gas that you purchase. You got to pay 71 cents in tax, and then there are also environmental fees that are tacked onto that, and that is about 54 cents here in California. So combined, we're talking about $1.25 abouts in taxes and fees. Those environmental fees, they go to promoting cleaner fuels. They go to the state's cap and trade emissions program, essentially buying carbon emission credits, and then other programs aimed at lowering carbon emissions. Now, the national average for taxes, so we're talking about the fees plus the taxes here in California, that's about $1.25. The national average, only 33 cents. So, President Trump wants to cap California's taxes. On gas, at least. And he wants to do this to try to lower California's gas prices. He said this in an interview with the California Post. They're a new publication. They're related to the New York Post. But there are very few details on how President Trump would actually do this. Because obviously we're not talking about federal taxes. We're talking about California's state taxes. Trump said that he could bring California's gas prices down to $2.50. Now, the math here is a little bit suspect. And then again, there are questions to how President Trump would actually do this. And also, the state of California would likely sue the federal government and sue the Trump administration if they did try to do this, because the state of California wants to be able to levy money. They want to be able to raise funds. The taxes, not only do these environmental fees go to environmental programs, but then the taxes mainly go to infrastructure projects. They go to road repair, things like that. But gas prices are really high on a lot of folks' minds, especially here in California. We are seeing refineries shut down here in California. This past fall, we had a Phillips 66 refinery shut down in Wilmington. That's in the Long Beach area. And then this spring, we're likely going to be seeing Valero refinery shut down up in Benicia, California. That's in Northern California. So two refineries shutting down in pretty quick succession. There's a lot of concerns about what this is going to be doing to gas prices here in California. And so, folks, some people have hope that President Trump's plans can actually lower the price of gasoline and bring things down and provide some relief. We talked to one Republican assemblyman. He represents an area in Northern California, in the Chico area. I asked him his thoughts on whether or not he thought that this was the federal government overstepping, but he said no. He believes that this is something that would be good for the state. He thinks that the Democrats in the state are out of control, that they've been overtaxing the populace. But state Democrats would probably argue that, hey, we need these high gas taxes to pay for road repairs, to pay for infrastructure projects, and of course pay for these environmental programs that voters have approved in the past. So I'm going to check out my Slack right here. I'm going to check out my messaging app. We've got our social media manager, Paisley, here. She's sending some questions that folks are having right now. So how much relief could drivers realistically expect at the pump, and how quickly would that show up? Great question. So President Trump, again, he believes that he can get gas prices in California down about 40%. He thinks that he could get the price of gas for the average price for a gallon of regular in California down to about $2.50. Is that realistic? I'm not sure. There's a lot of details that are left out of this. Again, this these are comments that were made to a reporter for the California Post. And so we haven't heard him publicly comment on this. And also a lot of details were left out. We do, though, have a statement from the Department of Energy. They sent us a statement saying that California residents are paying roughly 50% more for gas than the rest of the country, which is largely driven by self-inflicted policies, including having the highest gas taxes of any state in the country. Now, this is true. The average for gas taxes across the United States is about 33 cents, where California's gas taxes are 71 cents for the taxes and then about, I believe, 54 cents for those environmental programs. So yeah, we've got a lot of taxes here in the state of California, but how President Trump would actually be able to lower California's state taxes, a lot of questions there. So is there evidence from other states or past policies that a fuel tax cap actually lowers prices for consumers? From my knowledge, I don't think we've ever had the federal government coming in and telling a state that they need to lower their taxes, or that they I don't know if the federal government necessarily has that power. And also, if the federal government did do that, there would likely be a lawsuit from the state of California to stop this. So I think there's just a lot of questions about the details surrounding this, about how this would actually go into effect. So is this proposal likely to face legal challenges? Yes, I think this would be very likely. We have seen the state of California sue the federal government time and time again. I think more than 24 times already, just in this second iteration of the Trump administration. So likely, yeah, the state of California would be suing. Have increased gas taxes bled into the cost of living, rent prices, and car insurance prices? That's a really great question. I think gas taxes increased gas taxes, the price of gas, that really makes its way into everyday life. I think really the cost of goods is where we see high gas prices and high gas taxes have the most immediate effect. Because if something costs more to ship, to distribute, then that's going to be passed on to the consumer, right? You just think about the cost of diesel fuel and the taxes associated with that. You've got truckers needing to ship goods. It's going to cost more, and therefore your goods are going to cost more. Has the gas tax driven people out of California? We did a story just a couple of weeks ago about U-Haul seeing California have the most outflow of residents, outflow of people. And I assume that the gas prices here in California are one factor that are driving people out of the state. Affordability is a big issue here in the Golden State. A lot of people just simply believing that they can't afford to live here, even though there's a lot of benefits. It is January and I'm wearing a light jacket and it's relatively warm, so you don't have to deal with super extreme temperatures in places like Los Angeles. But that comes with a trade-off, which is the high cost of living, high cost of gas, and people need gasoline to get around here, especially in LA. There's not a ton of public transportation, and the public transportation infrastructure isn't as robust as cities like New York, Washington, D.C., Boston, East Coast cities like that. So a lot of people, they need their cars to get to work, get to where they need to go, and so high cost of gas is a really big issue. I really do want to drive home just the price on the sign right behind me. $4.39 for a price of regular here at this Chevron. Really, really expensive. And then, again, the average for a price of regular here in the state of California, $4.26. Again, that's compared to the national average, which is $2.87. President Trump, he believes that he can bring the price of a gallon of regular here in California down to $2.50. Is that a realistic expectation? Is this the president just sort of throwing numbers out there? Likely. I think a lot of the details for this would really have to be fleshed out, and there would be some issues with how this would maybe be implemented, but a lot of folks here would probably welcome this proposal. They would welcome cheaper gas here in California. I'm just going to check this out. Has Newsom made any statements about this proposal? We reached out to the governor's office last night. Haven't heard back from the governor yet, but I assume that Governor Newsom, as a staunch opponent of the president, would likely have something negative to say about it. And then again, I think that really the main issue likely from Newsom would be that federal versus state rivalry there. because there are questions about what power the federal government would have over the state of California to tax goods. Obviously there is a federal gas tax as well. I think there are a lot of questions about whether or not the federal government could tell the state, hey, you have to place a cap at how much you can price a certain good. Is this intended as short-term relief or part of a broader energy policy strategy from President Trump? One of President Trump's hallmark policies has been getting the price of gas down. He's really touted gas prices. He's seen that as a political win for him. And so this is President Trump essentially reaching into a deep blue state and saying, hey, look, we're going to try to bring gas prices down for Californians, even if many of you didn't vote for me. And he's likely hoping that this will raise his political clout in California. Whether or not he could do this, though, I think that's where the questions lie. Okay. Well, it looks like those are all the questions that viewers have. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for listening to this report. We'll have more reports on Fox News Channel as well as on Fox